Hello, this is Jeremy Murphy. I'm in Lincoln, Nebraska. I am the creator of the Positivity Patrol. I'm a positivity coach. I'm also a certified life coach, certified running coach, help people with all kinds of issues that you might face, challenges, chaos, trying to figure out how to work through obstacles as they arise in life. And so I'm here to talk about Stoicism. Had a Stoicism blab back in November. It was called Even-Tempered Stoicism. And it got a lot of attention, and I think the reason for that is people aren't talking about Stoicism very much on Blab. And I think that's too bad because there's a calming effect that can come from it if we deal with it positively and productively and try to utilize it in a positive way, figuring out what parts of this philosophy we can use to help ourselves, to help others, and to improve our lives, find more calm, peace, and maybe to be able to understand each other a little better, to have better conversations, better interactions, and just a better overall lifestyle. So I'd like to start first with a quote by Marcus Aurelius. And here's the quote. Dwell on the beauty of life, watch the stars, and see yourself running with them. I love the word running as a marathoner and running coach that has a special meaning for me. So I think that's a good centering quote for this discussion. And I want to put one more quote in here from Marcus Aurelius because I think it's important. We forget the importance of gratitude. We forget to be grateful and thankful for the gifts that we do have. And, we get focused on the problems or the negatives or the challenges as they arise. So here's the other quote by Marcus Aurelius that I would ask you to think about and ponder. When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, and to love. This is from Marcus Aurelius's book, Meditations, which a lot of us have at least read excerpts of. I haven't read the whole thing, but a lot of the quotes in there are very compelling. And I would recommend that maybe that's a book we could read in the future and discuss a little bit in a future blab. So think about that. And with that, I'm going to go to one of the resources that I used to prepare for this. There was an article by Paul Jun, and it was called 9 Stoic Principles to Nurture Your Life and Work. And the focus of this blab today, I want it to be looking at what situations as they arise, how can we deal with them when they arise. And so I'm going to go through these 9 principles by Paul Jun, and I'm going to rephrase some of them because some of them, they're negations in some of the word selection that he made. So I'll try to put those in more positive light. And I think, we don't want to just blindly adopt Stoic principles as someone put it in an article without giving them some thought and figuring out where they came from and things of that nature. So, but here are the 9 principles that Paul Jun wrote about. The first principle is to acknowledge that all emotions come from within. We think that sometimes they come from without, from an external source. Someone makes us angry or provokes us to overreact to something. We think that comes from somewhere else. But in reality, if we think about emotional intelligence, when we think about Stoicism in a meaningful way, all emotions do come from within. Number 2, find someone you respect and utilize them to stay honest. Now here Paul used the word use, and the word use has negative connotations in relations to other people, so I switched it to utilize. And I hope you understand that I mean this in the sense of we all need someone to confide in, to people that we can know, like, and trust to build a serious relationship with. And so we can help each other in a supportive relationship and some of that relationship may be reciprocal, some of it may not. It just kind of depends on, how much someone can give or offer to someone in assistance or support at a certain time. And sometimes we get busy and the timing may not be right, but I try to look for who I can help on a daily basis, who's struggling, who's encountering chaos, challenges, obstacles, health issues I might be able to help them with. And some people are just struggling with, the mental motivation side of things, with believing in themselves strongly enough that they can do something and try to achieve something in a meaningful way, in a positive way, that can change the world in a transformative way. So number 3, recognize there is life after failure. And he put in a note, no failure, no growth. And I think we all have moments where things don't go as planned, where we think we will accomplish a certain task and it doesn't happen, or we think we'll accomplish 3 tasks and maybe we only accomplish 2 in a day, or a certain path that we think is our path for our lifetime is suddenly cut off. And we can't find our way, and we try to find another path, and sometimes that doesn't always work out very well. There's some struggle involved, and we all struggle sometimes to find clarity. And so that's something I'm working with people to try to provide more clarity in their life. And I think a lot of times the answers to our problems they're inside of us. But sometimes we need someone as a sounding board to discuss the issue and figure out what tactics have been tried, what techniques have been tried, what tips and tricks we can share with each other to really be able to overcome more of the problems that we face, and to try to make them, a part of our, a part of our daily life, our daily routine. But I think, for example, there are a lot of job transitions that happen. People used to be in a job path for their entire lifetime. And for myself, I'm an attorney. I'm a recovering attorney. I don't practice law anymore, but I recognize now that was not, that was my path for perhaps 22 years of my life. But I recognize now that there's a different path. And the different path seems to be tied to coaching, to helping others figure out where they are, where they can go, what their gifts are, what their strengths are, what their what our challenges are. And sometimes, we need someone to talk through those issues. We need people that are good listeners. And so for myself, I had to recognize that losing my job, it felt like, although it felt like a failure, because I was an attorney for 22 years, I realized that, some jobs are for a lifetime, some are for a season. And, sometimes people grow apart in different workplaces and just no longer, sometimes you accomplish your mission. And I think when that happens, we're kind of sent to a different place to accomplish a new mission. So that's kind of what it felt like to me. It just felt like I accomplished everything that maybe God had intended for me to do. And so, I just felt like I was sent on a different path, on a coaching path, on a path to help people with positivity, to spread the message of the Positivity Patrol around the world. So let's see. Hi, Nikki, and welcome. Glad you joined us. Curious what kind of law I practiced. I practiced, I was a general practitioner for a lot of my law practice, but I did a lot of criminal defense, a lot of bankruptcy work. So there was a lot of, emotional issues were involved. Sometimes it was comforting the client in their situation. It wasn't really hand-holding entirely, but there was some of that involved, and just trying to navigate the difficult issues of, someone looking at a, serious crime that could send them to jail for life. I did some appellate work, so dealing with appeals. Also helped some people with mental illness. And that was some of the most meaningful work that I did. I helped some people with guardianships that had mental illness, and that was extremely challenging. But what I learned about it, I learned a much deeper understanding and compassion for people that have mental illness and struggle with these diagnoses, and trying to find the right diagnosis and treatment, and realizing that, that doctors need help of legal guardians and people like that to really look out for the best interest of the ward, the best interest of their family. So that was a really eye-opening experience, but it kind of helped me realize that I have a lot to offer to help people that have mental illness, stress, anxiety, depression. A lot of those intersect, but I feel like I'm being called to help people with these issues in more of a life coaching role, in more of a positivity coach type of role, in switching from a negative mindset to a more positive, buoyant type of lifestyle. So we're not feeling like every time a wave crashes over us, that we're overpowered. And, sometimes we have the sensation that we're not really drowning, but we feel like we're underwater. And so we struggle more, and we try to swim. And I don't know if, any of you like to swim or not, but I had an occasion with being out in La Jolla, California with my family, and I was out swimming, and I got out too far, and the waves were coming over, and there was a rip current. And I don't know if you've dealt with this, but the more you struggle against a rip current, the further out you get into the ocean. And so my brother figured this out before I did. So he headed for the beach wisely, and he realized that I was out too far and I was in trouble. And I was trying to, you try to jump out of the water at the correct time. And sometimes that doesn't always pan out very well. So you struggle more, and, that didn't really help the situation. And so I eventually had to figure out, well, what are the flow of the waves telling me? And, once I kind of went more with the flow of the waves, then I was able to kind of slowly get back to the beach. My point is, these waves crash over us, and we can make a choice in life. We can let them overwhelm us, or we can try to surf. And I've never surfed, but the image I'd like to use is, getting up on your figurative surfboard and trying to get back to shore in that way. And so it's the power of visualization. And if we have a positive sense of visualization, we can, try to navigate back to shore in that way. And there's even a concept of negative visualization. We as attorneys, we talk about, well, picture the worst case scenario. And that's helpful to some extent. You don't want to dwell there, though. But if you go to the worst case scenario, you have to try to find a solution. You have to try to unlock. If the door's locked, you find a way to unlock the door. Put a happy ending on it somehow, even if it's just in your mind. And I think sometimes then when these bad situations happen, we'll find that we can, really be able to tie a knot and close an issue, find closure where maybe we couldn't find closure without that. So that's what I would say on, how to handle the crashing waves of life as they overpower us. We just need to try to be cognizant of that, and try to keep that cognizance there, and try to surf more. Don't feel like we're always stuck. So let's see. We talked about recognizing there's life after failure, and no failure, no growth. I think, don't look at failure as an ending. Look at it as a beginning. Look at failure as a reset button. And if we can recognize that we have countless times, almost on a daily basis, we can press that reset button if we want to. Now, we don't have to, but if we do press that button, we will learn that sometimes it'll just, you press it in your mind and you say, okay, well, I'm starting over. I'm going to deal with this problem in a different way. I don't want to deal with it the way I did before. So don't look at failure as an ending. Look at it as a beginning, a challenge to reset. We're in a new year, and I think a lot of us, we talk about making New Year resolutions and whether we should make those or not. And I believe that we should make goals, is what I call them. And some people think that's too emotionally charged, and that's fine. We have distinctions over that. But my point is, we can dig deep enough to recognize that these failures are temporary, that success is possible. Sometimes it's not possible in exactly the way that we envision it. But there are people out there who can help all of us. And this is a powerful revelation for me. For about a year after I lost my job last year, I was trying to operate by myself. I figured, well, I've got to completely redo everything and all this. And I realized I can accomplish a lot more if I cooperate with others. If I learn that there are others out there that I have things in common with, that I have a lot in common with, and that if I find other positive-minded individuals, that we can lift each other. We can lift each other. We can have buoyant, exciting, positive lifestyles on a daily basis. And yes, we're all going to have bad days, but we don't have to stay there. We don't have to stay there. Yes, I agree. God's grace is abundant, and many either forget that or don't realize that. That's definitely true. We have to be cognizant of all the blessings that we have. And we get so caught up in, all the negatives, we forget to, some people talk about having a gratitude journal. And maybe that would be a Stoic thing to do, to sit, reflect, take some solitude time, maybe 5 minutes a day, maybe 15 minutes a day, maybe an hour a day, if you have that much time. But write down what you're grateful for. Maybe it's just one thing. Some people try to focus on 3 things a day or more, and maybe that's starting too high with this. But try to think of at least one thing to be thankful for every day. And maybe write it down. You don't have to write it on paper. You can put it in Evernote or some computer system of your choice to monitor this. But try to be thankful for at least one thing a day. And you'll notice that those things will accumulate, they'll grow together incrementally, and they'll help show that really that we have a lot more to be thankful for than we think. I have a friend in London who started to make a list of everything she was thankful for. And we started doing blabs about this around Thanksgiving last year. And she got up to, I think she was over 400, 500 things. I don't remember the exact number. I'm going to have to double check with her and see if she got over 500. But I think she was at 480 or 500 or even more. And that just seems like it would take me some time to get there. Maybe I could get to 100 pretty quickly. But after that, you start to feel like, oh, am I duplicating this? Is this silly? You can be thankful for, coffee, for family, friends, faith, positive weather, trees, your dog, your pets. We can make a long list, but you have to start somewhere. And I think you have to start with your family, your friends, your faith, and go out from there. So, but give that a try. I do want to get through these 9 principles. I kind of got on we went off on number 3 for quite a while on the failure and growth. Number 4 is read purposefully and apply your knowledge. Now I try to read, this is a good one. I try to read maybe I don't know, 36 to 48 books a year. Sometimes I don't get there. I do try to make some of them, maybe books of short stories, just to, have a little more balance. And, maybe a couple of them are books that I listen to. But what I noticed is the more I read, it just makes your mind hungry for more knowledge, for more wisdom. And it gives you sharper tools to use in your analysis, your understanding of the human condition. I like to read inspiring stories of people that went through, much tougher struggles than I went through. You can look at people like Helen Keller. Mark Twain wrote an excellent book about St. Joan of Arc. They're just all kinds of people that, are very inspiring to me. And so I try to read inspiring stories, some fiction, some nonfiction. Some of it might be philosophy related to my philosophy degree, or history with the history degree that I have, or, occasionally I do go back to legal topics, although that's kind of more my past than my present. But now I'm more interested in coaching and in writing. So let's see. I noticed you, Nikki, I think you asked me for if I knew John Birch. It does sound familiar. I think I've met him on Blab, but I've connected with so many people here. I can't place him off the top of my head. I will. I'll try to maybe look that up. And I think I think I have met him, but I can't remember where, when, and I don't know. I'll have to look him up now and try to verify that I have. I think I've run into him on Blab at least a couple times. So the name sounds familiar. Yes, you're welcome for, I'm doing the best I can to try to get good information out there and try to be helpful to people in any way I can. And I'm very appreciative. For me, I'm very grateful for this platform because it gives me connection around the world, from here to Ireland to Australia to, I've met people in Ghana, just all over the world, people I would never, all over Europe, countries I've never been to, all over the United States, some places I've been to, some places I haven't, but it's very valuable to have this resource to be able to share with people and be able to, share our knowledge and wisdom in helpful ways with others. And hopefully, that's what I'm trying to do, trying to enrich the lives of others with the gifts that I've been to the best of my ability. And I think we're all called to do that. We're all called to be light to the world. And we all go through moments of great darkness. And when we're really challenged and you just feel like you're knocked down, and this is something that Stoicism helps you press an internal calm button. You could visualize it and, say the calm button is, color of your choice. My favorite color is blue. So my calm button might be blue internally, but I'll close my eyes and think about that. And if somebody makes you angry or frustrated or something like that, there's a temptation to strike back. And I think we have to realize that we can press the pause button, remain calm, unwind, take steps to relax, get rid of our emotions if they're negative and out of proportion to what happened, and to move on. And in a lot of cases, you find outlets to help you with that. It could be reading, it could be writing. For me, it might be running sometimes. I just, I'll go run stress off. I'll write stress off, and then, write down what's bothering me and shred it if it's too negative. And I think we all have the ability to do that. We can write what's bothering us in a journal or something. And if we do find that it's too negative, maybe we get rid of those pages. Maybe it's useful to just get those feelings out and to let go of them. We have to recognize there's some very powerful, positive people in the world that are shedding brilliant light all over. And we all have the capacity to do that. But in order to be that brilliant light ourselves, we have to really capture the calm, silent solitude inside and create just a quiet inner strength that doesn't boast, that doesn't seek to be better than others or be argumentative with others. You know, as an attorney, I have to fight with myself about not attending every argument I'm invited to. And I talked about that in the previous Stoicism lab that I did. But I've recognized that some arguments are just ridiculous, and they should be attended by other people, or they shouldn't be, even argued at all. They're rhetorical arguments that may be valuable. You can gain wisdom and knowledge from them. But the slugfest that we have with each other emotionally, they're just, in a lot of cases, are not productive. And that's why it's powerful and helpful, transformative, to really visualize, if we're having a problem, to visualize how we could solve it. Think through it, but to visualize having a solution, being able to put closure on a situation, being able to start over with something much more powerful than maybe we've achieved so far. And I think it's very valuable to recognize that for almost all of us, the best is yet to come. We've all had terrible things happen, some much more terrible than I can imagine. I've met some people that have had just horrible things happen to them. People that have risked their lives to immigrate to the United States, for example. And, I can't imagine the difficulties they've gone through and just the pain and the suffering. But we have to find ways to let go of that and to try to move on and be productive citizens, not only of society and the state and country that we live in, but of the world. I think we're all called to help each other around the world. Let's see, principle number 5, challenge yourself to be brutally honest. And I think it's really important to challenge yourself to be brutally honest, most importantly, with ourselves. Because we tell ourselves that we can't do something, or that we're not smart enough, good enough, lack the skill that we need, lack the connections. Some of us maybe are working on expanding our networks, and we just feel like we don't have the proper connections to be able to have that big breakthrough that we're looking for. But we've got to be honest with ourselves. And in order to achieve, we have to take action. We can't sit on the couch and expect things to happen. We got to get up. We've got to fire ourselves up and motivate ourselves inside, and then use that rocket fuel to radiate throughout the world. And if we can do that, we kind of create these fiery streaks. And I use the fire imagery in a positive sense. I know some people think that, oh, you shouldn't use fire as an analogy. It's too negative, and fire burns things and all this. And, well, if a rocket's launched, what happens when the rocket goes off the launcher? You see flames, you see sparks. And if our inspiration can be sparked by something like that, by fire, for me, it's just very powerful energy. And for other people, it might be something else. The quote that I started the lab with, it talked about Marcus Aurelius asking us to dwell in the stars, to look up at the sky, and not just the sun, that we know the best, or maybe the moon that we see frequently, but to look at all the stars, to look at the Milky Way, to look at the constellations, to look at Orion, go to a planetarium, look at the stars and planets through a telescope. And that really connects me to the astronomy, I think, helps connect us to the cosmology and kind of puts us back in touch with our creator. So, for me, the stars imagery is very helpful. And I would say, if Marcus Aurelius were here now, he would say, well, by the way, I meant the stars included, not only the sun, but all the stars, the planets, the comets, the moons, all interplanetary objects, probably lacking, you'd probably leave black holes out because those are a little bit more negative and destructive. But you could throw nebulas in there and just all kinds of cosmic things that we think of in a positive sense. Not just cosmic dust, but cosmic items that are visible to the naked eye or through a telescope. So I think, you know, for me, having that internal fire, that's just very helpful to me. So yes, this is being recorded. So yes, Nikki, so the recordings can be available, and so you're free to look at that. You can check it anytime. It'll be on my profile page, and I'll put it up on YouTube later too. So, and tweet it out so people can find it through one of those different ways. So yes, it'll be available. Yep. Thanks for coming. Let's see, number 6, the 6th principle that Paul Jun wrote about was to reflect on what you spend most of your time on. And this is an interesting, one. Let's see. Yeah, I have the link to my YouTube. I'll have to drop it at the end of the blab, though. I don't have it in my fingertips. So sorry about that. I will drop it at the end, though. Okay. But if we reflect what we spend most of our time on, I think a lot of times we will, a lot of times we find we're spending things on meaningless things, on watching television, on, you know, maybe participating in gossip, or being negative, talking behind people's backs. I mean, things that we shouldn't be doing. We need to let go of those. Really, anything that's negative or seen as a waste of time, because life is short, and so we need to make it the most of the time we have, because you know, we have less time than we think. So we need to be cognizant of that. That you know, that we all have limited time, and that we can't, you know, maybe can't accomplish everything we want within the time that we want to. So, you know, think about that. And if our time's being misdirected, or if we're maybe multitasking too much, that we need to focus on really what's most important, and go from there. Okay. So we talked about the time issue. Let's go to Paul Jun's. The number 7 would be don't procrastinate. And I rephrased this to make it a little shorter. But I think he basically said, don't procrastinate. I'll just summarize it for you, and hopefully that sums it up a little better. A little more succinctly, I'm trying to keep some of these blabs short, and so in the interest of time, some of his points have been shortened, and some have been made more positive if they're too darn negative, okay? So I hope you're okay with that. If not, well, I positively do not have an answer for you. Number 8. Now, Paul Jun said, put your phone away and be present. But I would say putting your phone in the front is not correct. So I would phrase number 8, the 8th principle of Stoicism that Paul Jun says we can use. I would say be present and be mindful. What do I mean by being present? I mean focusing on what's at hand. Being mindful is really focusing on what's most important. You know, if we're, you know, for example, if we're driving, we don't want to be probably talking on the phone and trying to eat at the same time. I mean, there's limits to how much we can multitask effectively. Now, if we're, you know, sometimes people will maybe watch a sporting event while they're eating or something like that. That might be more of an acceptable form of multitasking. But if we're focusing on things that are not important, and you know, our families and friends are negatively affected by that, we need to really give our families and friends attention. The people that we love and that love us, that need our help, we need to really focus on them, being mindful. And if that means detaching from, not only from the phone, but from any technology for a certain period of time, just put them down and have a genuine conversation with someone. I think we should all challenge each other to have interactive, meaningful conversations whenever possible. And I think not enough of those are occurring. They're more and more occurring on Blab, but some of them are occurring in person also. So, but keep that in mind. Be present, be mindful. Put the phone and detach yourself from other technology, even if it's just an hour a day. I try to charge my phone at least an hour a day. The battery usually runs down, and I have to. So for that period of time, I try to really focus on what's most important. And for me, that means my friends and my family. Number 9, the 9th principle that Paul John said that we could use in using Stoicism to nurture our life and work. Remember, time is our most precious resource. And I would agree 100%. Life is short. We all have very limited time. We need to make the most of the time we have and do what we can to really use our gifts to transform the world and to transform the lives of others. I try to look for any way that I can help anyone. And, if there's anyone who is looking for assistance with positivity, with turning around their mindset, with looking for Stoic principles and how they can adopt them in their life, or looking for ways they can holistically improve their health. As a newly certified health coach, that's something that I'm trying to help people with. As a running coach, trying to help people with running issues that they might have, with challenges and obstacles with running, injuries, and things of that nature. And I think a lot of us, regardless of what our challenges or obstacles are, a lot of our challenges are situational. And if we go through those situations in our head and process the positive ways that could be resolved, I think we can have a more powerful, transformative ending. And, we can reach the point in our lives where when we are out of time at the end of our lives, we can say that I did everything that I could in the most powerful way that I could. I packed every day with meaning and did everything I could to serve others. And that's really what I'm here to do. So if you're interested in further information on the Positivity Patrol, I'll drop a link to my website here. I will be revisiting Stoicism on a regular basis. I'm thinking about addressing it maybe once a month. I thought about it once a week, but that seems like too much. I just have too much else going on with some of the coaching responsibilities that I'm taking on now to do that, as well as a new show on Blab that will be coming out soon next week with an excellent co-host. And I'll be telling you more about that soon. But there's the link to the Positivity Patrol website. If you're interested in health coaching, I'll be launching a health coach website soon. Don't have that launched yet. I need to contact the webmaster and get that set up. But I will return to the Stoicism topic. And I hope this has been helpful and meaningful for all of you. I've listed a couple articles and links above. Feel free to reference those if you have questions. Happy to have further Stoicism discussions here on Blab. Probably going to do them about once a month, like I said. So, feel free to join me if you're interested in that. We will revisit the topic soon. So with that, this is Jeremy Murphy. I am a positivity coach in Lincoln, Nebraska. You can visit my Positivity Patrol website at positivitypatrol.com. My running blog is at runninggrooveshark.com. I am using positivity a lot with the runners and athletes I'm working with, and I'll also be using positivity with the people I'm helping with health coaching. So thank you very much for joining me. Keep calm, be stoic. Stoic on. Thank you. Bye.